We all running in the same race. Ain't nobody winning. We only here for a minute, yeah. So everybody slow down. Your life is beautiful. Let's all take a moment now. Let's just try to breathe it in. Let's go get some feelings out. Let's try to remember what it felt like to be young and free. Yeah, those days are gone, but there'll be better ones ahead, you'll see. And it's been on my mind, it's been on my mind. It takes up all my time, oh yeah, all my time. And we've been searching for some things that we may never find. But in the end, yeah, I know it's our love. We all running in the same race. Ain't nobody winning. We only here for a minute, yeah. So everybody slow down. We all headed to the same place, so we better get to living. We only here for a minute, so everybody slow down. I see mountains in the distance, yeah, they're calling me. Open river, water far away from everything. I think about getting away every day. And it's been on my mind, it's been on my mind. It takes up all my time, oh yeah, all my time. And we've been searching for some things that we may never find. But in the end, yeah, I know it's our love. We all running in the same race. Ain't nobody winning. We only here for a minute, so everybody slow down. We all headed to the same place, so we better get to living. We only here for a minute, so everybody slow down.
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Where everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
There was one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
I mean, how can you argue with that? He's absolutely correct. hope you guys had a great weekend too. Happy Monday. Welcome to the IRONWORX. Still not on Free World yet, but we are live on YouTube and live on Rumble. It's good to see you all here this morning. Shout out to everybody there in chat. I see Joanne Figs, the nice gray letters. Again, nice to see people come in without a mod wrench on occasion. Morning, Zack. How you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Just trying to wake up, pour some coffee on the brain, get the week started. How was your weekend?
Wet. It was wet. Not too bad, I guess. Got some overtime in on Saturday morning. But, yeah, it was raining its ass off. Pretty well all weekend. Got a lot less yesterday than they were calling for. So it was less of a battle than I was expecting it to be in the basement. So that's always a nice thing. Other than that, it was pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on. How about you? How was your weekend?
Oh, not bad. Beautiful weather. Got a lot done. Watched the new Minecraft movie last night.
Yeah, how was that?
I thought critics were just being hard because of politics and all that stuff, and no, it was bad. Like, the special effects and everything were cool, all the CGI and everything, but the story, and it was just dumb. Like, the plot, it was just dumb. I don't want to start giving away spoilers and stuff, but the whole time me and Karen are like, why'd they do that? What's going on? Yeah, it was just, so much potential, Minecraft is a huge game. There's all kinds of people. It's been around for a long time. There was so much potential here to,
But what's the
make a good
storyline?
children's movie.
What's the storyline behind the game?
So somehow Jack Black.
No, I meant the game. I get the movie. Like I that's why I think they're having to invent a storyline. I think the game itself has no storyline. It's just, here you are, the sandbox, you play in it. You dig, you build, you do whatever. And there's not like a real goal. It's not like one of those goal-oriented sort of plot-based games.
They have a bunch of stuff. I don't know if it's actually, you can beat it, but I know there's, doors you can build with magic stuff. And, you build the door, and then you put this magic cube or whatever, and it opens a portal to another dimension or something. I know they added stuff like that into the game way back. Jaron was telling me about it. But yeah, I never really knew there was a storyline or anything like that. No, it had huge potential, to make up a storyline for Minecraft. But I thought it was just poorly written. It seemed like it was something they just threw together. And some of the songs that Jack Black sings, it sounded like he just ad-libbed it on the spot. Cami was like, I could have wrote a better song than that. What is this? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. It was a shame because, it could have been a really good movie, I think. A good children's movie with, make up some story or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But no, it was pretty bad.
Well, I guess that's almost to be expected these days.
Yeah, I wasn't too shocked.
School of Rock was awesome. I liked School of Rock.
Yeah.
But that character is the only thing Jack Black can play. Everything else beyond that has just been cheesy or downright bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm.
I did see him in some movie where he was some movie about the master of clocks or something like that. He was like some magician or something like that. But I never made it through the whole thing. But he played a different character, yada, yada, yada. I don't know.
I guess you say that.
I never really cared for Jack Black. Huh?
Maybe I've seen him in something more dramatic and not so slapstick cheeseball Jack Black type of thing.
Yeah.
I think he could probably act well. Nobody wants him to, though. Like, everybody just wants Jack Black to be Jack Black.
Yeah.
And that shit doesn't go far. What a big
the
shout
first
out.
movie he was in was the rollerblading movie. I forget what it's called now. I'm going to have to look it up. Please, oh please. What were you saying?
I think I was just giving Walter a shout out, if I were to guess. So a big shout out to Walter. Hope he's feeling better. I know he actually was not feeling so hot on Friday. But I think, was that by Saturday or was that later Friday night that he got to feeling better?
Later Friday night. It was like 9:30, 9:45.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was still battling the water in the basement at that time.
Oh, he was in King Kong.
Yeah, but I don't know that I necessarily liked him in that either. That was one of those I don't think he did a very good job as far as chops and acting. It felt like
How about Jumanji? Did you see Jumanji? Where he played the girl in a man's body? It was pretty funny.
I know I've seen Jumanji. I don't know that I necessarily remember Jack Black's transgendered role.
He was in Demolition Man? I don't remember him in that.
I don't know that I do either. But it's
Never Ending Story 3? I never even saw that one.
Yeah, that sounds like a straight to DVD, if you ask me.
Airborne, it was called. 1993. He might have done one before that. Yeah, he did. A couple. But yeah, Airborne. Stupid movie about rollerblading. Kid rollerblading. Oh, man, that took me back. So I saw this one, man. And it just had to laugh.
Uh-oh.
I haven't read any of it yet. This is businessinsider.com. I went to an autonomous vehicle hype conference in LA. And now I know why we won't lose human drivers anytime soon. It says, but human drivers are still very much in play, at least for the next few decades. Here's why. Wow. So, doesn't sound like there was a great showing out there in LA with the autonomous driver. Geez, people are in San Francisco are torching these driverless taxis. Oh, goodness. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Conference in the future ride hauling will look like a hybrid market of human and robot drivers for the next 10 to 15 years at least. And this is Stephen Hayes, Lyft's vice president of autonomous operation, and Ryan Green, CEO of Gridwise, a platform for rideshare drivers to track their earnings, blah, 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 blah. So it's pretty much just going on. I don't know. This is a long, drawn-out article talking about riding the hype cycle. People making crazy claims like 1 million robo-taxis by 2020. They're dunking on Musk in here a lot, it looks like. But yeah, that doesn't bother me one bit. I don't want a bunch of robots out there driving cars. I just found out my nephew's getting a motorcycle. I mean, I had so much fun on motorcycles as a child, and out on the dirt tracks and stuff like that. And it's not even him. He's a very safe type of person, he's very down to earth. I don't see him trying to do wheelies down, Broadway or anything like that. But it's other people that are the idiots. And somebody else's mistake when you're on a motorcycle can cost your life a lot easier. Yeah, I just don't like them. What else did I see? Oh, and they're still saying the NASA engineer found a new propulsion. I'm still seeing articles about that. It's been a couple weeks now. Using a new force unknown to physics. Yeah. Ionic wind. There was another article I had seen. Oh, a new discovery identifies the billion-year-old source of Earth's water. Can you guess what it was?
Did it come from space?
From space, don't you know?
Don't you know? Where else would it come from?
So it says, new data from the comet is renewing interest in the idea that comets might have helped deliver water to Earth. Maybe that's what Halley's Comet is. It's going out to some water place and bringing it in over Earth and just drops it as it flies by.
Like the big planes trying to fight fires.
Scientists claim they figured out how the human brain creates and retrieves memories.
They figured it out, have they?
They're claiming.
Well, then I guess we should be able to remember everything and recall it instantly. We got that problem figured out. Thank God. I mean, I wish they would have done it before my bomb got Alzheimer's, but whatever. As long as they got that shit figured out now. It's always good to hear when they have a nice...
They have it quite figured out.
What? It's just the human brain.
Yeah. Well, you know how they like to put all kinds of stuff into the headline.
The old bait and switch.
You get into that very first paragraph, and they're like, well, scientists have wondered how the brain updates itself, blah, 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 right? Starting it off. And then some ideas revolve around the chemical changes in specific neurons, while others focus on structural shifts among brain cells. Okay, so who's the right one? new findings suggest. Now, when you say, yeah, scientists figured it out, now you get into paragraph 2, and it's some suggest. Memory formation hinges on connections between groups of Ingram cells, which are neurons thought to capture, and distinct experiences. They're thought to capture.
Sorry, I missed it the first time.
Researchers believe each experience leaves a pattern of brain cell activation that can be switched on later. And then, to see this process in action, neuroscientists track 2 sets of Ingram cells, each tied to a different memory. And how the fuck did you know that? They discovered that when one set of cells was reactivated, the other set sometimes lit up too.
This was my phone number when I was a kid.
Talking.
Obviously, that's the one from when I was a kid. My phone number. That's how we know what that one was. This is where my uncle touched me. We have all these memories attached. Thank God we can categorize them and keep track of them.
The idea runs counter to the old notion that an individual neuron stores an entire memory. Instead, the memory might be in the connections these cells build and reshape over time. Which brain cells store memories? Memory Ingram cells are groups of brain cells that, activated by specific experiences, change themselves to incorporate and thereby hold information in our brain. Well, that was a little more matter-of-fact speaking-ish. They use genetic techniques to label blah, 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 neurons, blah, 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 blah. Tied to one major clue came from measuring how well these labeled neurons made new links with cells that were tied to older separate experiences. I mean, does this kind of sound like space travel to you?
Yes. But there are people
Like
that
what?
would say that inner space is really outer space. So I guess it's all connected.
And they say a specific protein, PSD95, emerged as a gatekeeper of these Ingram cell connections. This protein sits at nerve cell junctions called synapses and helps anchor receptor molecules. When the team lowered the amount of PSD95 in the neurons storing a given memory, these connections behaved differently. Under certain conditions, the memory seemed to linger even when researchers tried to dampen it. So how are... I don't know.
How do you draw any conclusion from that?
Yeah. So they're thinking that they figured out the whole... I think they're nuts. Now, would you ever get on one of these, Josh? Kawasaki unveils a hydrogen-powered ride-on robot horse. So, you know, like those dogs the military has?
Hydrogen powered ride on robotic horse?
Ride-on. Yes.
Ooh, yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
No,
they'd
me
have to
neither.
really guarantee some safety when it comes to rounds down range into my hydrogen powered rideable horse. Like if it gets hit, does it just go like supernova and just scorched earth and blow up everything within like a 3-mile radius.
Clean burning 150 cc hydrogen fueled generator engine. Uses clean water as combustion product.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. There's no reason we should use that sort of technology anywhere else. We need it on Robot Horse.
Screw the cars.
Screw the cars.
I think the parent company would be wise to keep this machine far away from any ninja stickers that might give its AI brain the idea that it should learn martial. Oh, God. Shut up.
Right.
Yeah, there's a video. I'm not going to watch it.
It's probably that guy's time lapse of his 3 days it took him to come up with that lame ass joke.
50 miles an hour on this thing? Yeah, right, dude.
That's at a full gallop?
Yeah.
A full robot gallop will go 50 miles an hour, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no way I'm getting on that thing.
Hell no. Like, how well does this thing see rocks and ditches and all that kind of stuff?
Well, they're probably just using that self-driving tech. Don't you know? Now that they've got it perfected. No, wait, that's not what I remember.
I might watch this video now. They're saying it is designed for hot and heavy off-roading, including a cat-like ability to leap from rock to rock and sprint across uneven terrain.
That's my 4-wheeling cat horse.
Cat horse.
Alone in the world was a little cat horse.
While responding to body language from the rider as its primary control input.
Like a one-wheel.
Oh, I could see a lot of bad things happening with this. Don't let fool you here. It is also, and don't let anyone fool you here, absolute cod swallow. The video is pure CGI, and even as a concept, this is as blue sky as they come.
Well, that's good to know. That makes me feel a
Yeah, they
little
produce a prototype that's capable of standing and posing. And says
Fucking
it's an
statue
idea.
and called it a prototype.
They don't expect to see anybody riding one of these for a while. They're saying, like, it might come out in 2050.
Have you built the prototype? I certainly have. It's that statue right there. That's your robot horse that goes 50 miles an hour? Yep, that statue right there. Cool prototype, bro. I guess it does pose as well. Draw me like a French girl, Jack.
I was thinking that there's no way this was going to be a real thing. And yep, at least they finished the article. I'm glad I went to the end of the article.
And at least they had the integrity to come out and say, yeah, that's all bullshit. Whereas probably every other story you will hear today will not have the integrity to come out and say, well, this is all bullshit. They'll just try to pretend that it's real. About as real. Damn, holy shit, it certainly has. I don't think I got anything picked out.
Excuse me, folks. Nice seeing you all out there in chat. Thank you all so much for coming by and hanging out.
Heck yeah.
Hope you had a nice weekend. Kind of somber one here. Oh. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of Bob passing. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about Globebusters when we come back. Because I know you guys, I tried to get in and pay attention, but just wasn't able to be in the same room and listen the way I wanted to. So I want to go over.
I thought it went pretty well.
Did it good.
Everybody was, cordial and all that kind of. There was no ad homs that I really picked up on, I thought it was done with, class.
Wait, was Jaron there?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, I must have missed a shit ton then.
No, it was done with class.
Gotcha. All right, then let's take a little break and we'll dive into that. Just on the other side. So don't go anywhere.
When I grab me by the hand, you hesitate, with a subtle inclination to tell a man straight. Your sister was a savior and your mother is a saint. Sometimes a woman is the sum of all the things her father ain't. And men are just the sum of all the things their mothers did. They'll spend their lives searching for the love they had as kids. My vices ain't a place to replace a loving home. You can't expect a harvest where the field's half grown. You can't choose your blood, but you can choose to change the chains that chain you down when you was just a child. And forgiveness ain't an easy road to go, but I know that it's a road worth heading down. When I see myself, I see your eyes. Reflections nowadays are a calm surprise. The older I get, the more I become. All the things I saw I'd always run from. But I'll raise myself a family and right the wrong of some imperfect people who are only half grown. 'Cause you can't choose your blood, but you can choose to change the chains that chain you down when you was just a child. And forgiveness ain't an easy road to go, but I know that it's a road worth going down. When I grab you by the hand, you hesitate, with a subtle inclination to tell a man straight. Your sister was a savior and your mother is a saint. Sometimes a woman is the sum of all the things her father ain't.
Hi, this is Alan. I like IRONWORX because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love IRONWORX with Josh, Walt and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that IRONWORX with Josh, Walt and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose house of iron in the morning. Listen to the Ironworks.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Ironrealmmedia is the best on the plane. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworks with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworks and become an Iron Scout.
Ponderous, fucking ponderous.
And welcome back to the second half of the first half. The Ironworks right here on YouTube, streaming live on Rumble as well. I think. I don't know. I think I saw Nemo in there saying that Rumble might be a little bit effed up today.
Wonky. I like that song.
That was a good one. That was Zach Bryan. Half grown. And the issues with immature parents trying to raise children themselves.
Yeah. That's definitely a song that needs to be sung. See a lot of that out there.
Yeah. Babies raising babies. I remember when I was a kid, I couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 maybe. Because I remember riding in the car to go back to the old neighborhood that we lived when I was like originally born for the first 3 years of my life. And then we went back like 5 years later because one of the little neighbor girls was, I don't know, 14 or 15 and ended up getting pregnant. And at that time, back in the 80s, that was still pretty taboo. Unwed teenage pregnancies and all.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that being a pretty big deal.
Even into the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I graduated with a girl.
Friends. Yep, me too.
I mean, she's still married to the same guy that knocked her up in high school. Freaking 30 years later or whatever it is. Shout out to...
It was real quiet, wasn't it?
Not real quiet, no. I mean...
Like, when it happened with one of our buddies, like, the inner circle knew, you know, like all of our real close friends, but people outside, you know, the 5 of us had no clue. The parents didn't go around talking about it. She didn't talk about it. He didn't talk about it. And it happened like 3 times while they were in high school. But yeah, it was just something that, you know, it happened, but it wasn't like promoted and talked about so much, I guess. I don't know. People didn't used to talk about politics back then either. Like, I remember back in the 80s, if you asked an adult who they were going to vote for, it was like you were insulting them. Well, that's none of your business. It was like the answer you would get. Weird how just in 40 years, society can change like that.
It really is. And you look, we're damn near 50 now, and looking back, Jesus Christ, you know, the life as we know it is done, right? That entire society that we grew up with is gone forever. And you have to come to terms with it. You're like, Jesus. But then you think, well, I bet you our parents went through the same thing where they had to come to terms with the fact that the society that they grew up with is dead and gone and will never return. And I bet you that our grandparents had to come to grips with the fact that the society that they grew up with is dead and gone and will never return. And you just have to look on as the next generations take society down whatever path they're going to take it, and you're just along for the ride. Joys of growing up.
That 1980s society I grew up in is taking place somewhere else right now. You know, like they're using pagers over in Palestine or whatever. They're still doing disco in Israel. You know, is the 80s decade still alive and well somewhere on Earth? Because, like, the whole world can't all change at the same time. You know, I'm sure it's regional.
I don't know. It is regional, sure, but, like, we are such an invasive species that I don't know that there's a, like, even the jungle tribes in Brazil walk around in, like, Coca-Cola t-shirts that they just find. I don't know that you can escape for that long.
Yeah.
Like, even growing up outside of St. Louis and then visiting my dad 150 miles away in the middle of Missouri, in the woods in rural Ozarks. Like, the kids and the schools and the trends and the fashions and everything were about 10 to 15 years behind what they were doing in St. Louis. It just took them a while to catch up because they were out in the country, but this was back in the 90s. You didn't have the internet, where everything's just sort of now homogenized into the same sort of window of allowance, that Overton window of what society's going to do. So it's like that 15-year difference is pretty well gone now, because everybody's just connected on Facebook and through the internet. So trends and styles and everything are just almost instantaneously transferred.
Yeah, true. Very true. Brave new world compared to what it was back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. But I'm watching crypto, and we may be ready for a financial disaster. That shit don't turn around soon. Jesus Christ, I lost like $200 last night. And that's an exaggeration, but yeah, it went down quite a bit this weekend.
Yeah, what all the economic people are saying is, yeah, the stock market is going to take a hit with all these tariffs and all that kind of stuff. It's not designed to boom the stock market like they were doing the last 4 years, just printing money and dumping it into the stock market. That's the only way they kept it afloat and solvent.
And
but what these tariffs are going to do is supposed to bring manufacturing back to the United States to make jobs and also lower the prices, because you're not buying overseas goods and this and that, yada, yada, yada. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to hurt.
But yeah.
I think it has
they
to
say
hurt.
the stock market, though, like 50% of stocks are owned by the top 1%.
I believe that.
And then the 99% of the people, yeah, are, you know, they'll lose money. But not like the top 1% people are going to be losing money here from all this stock market rearranging and adjusting and all this stuff. But apparently there's 50 countries that are wanting to reach out, and I know Taiwan, South Korea, both said they want to go to 0% tariffs. Like, we'll do it right now. And I don't see what the outrage is about from U.S. citizens. I get it, other countries mad that, you know, they've been used to having it this way for so long. They don't want to get charged more. I get that. But it's not like we're tariffing anybody who isn't tariffing us. All we're saying is, if you're going to put tariffs on us, we're going to reciprocate that and put the exact same amount on you. And that's it. I'm sorry, that seems kind of fair to me. can't expect us to go up against China, who pays their people between like 25 and 50 cents an hour, with American workers who are getting paid, $15 to $20 an hour. You can't compete. And then you're going to put tariffs on top of that also? No, I mean, we can't do this. We're $37 trillion in debt. That's what I don't get about all these people at these protests. USAID, we're cutting funds to everyone around the world. Yeah, because you're cutting your own leg off at the same time. Like, if you were, say, $37,000 in debt, Josh, with no end in sight, getting $2,000 in debt a year just on interest, are you going to be donating money to a bunch of people that you don't have?
Not like
the churches, the local YMCA, the FOP or whatever. Are you going to be able to make all those donations to all these different charities you've done your whole life? No, you can't anymore. You're $37,000 in debt and sinking. You can't keep doing it. You can't just keep spending money you don't have. That's the part about all this I don't get. People are so upset about us not taking care of all these other people around the world. It's like, you guys, 37 trillion in debt, going up. Another trillion like every 100 days. Yeah, I saw that slap in the base. A lot of people claiming that these are paid protesters. Funny enough, a lot of these protesters, well, according to, an article or whatever, they said they've been monitoring the phones and the phone data usage and this and that. And like a lot of the phones that were at all these Zabala rallies all across the country, a lot of those same phone numbers and same SIM cards were at a lot of these things. That were at a lot of BLM rallies and Antifa stuff. And there's all kinds of stuff. People, like, they'll go up there and ask questions. Now, this could, be anybody. But I saw this one guy was protesting Doge, right? We got to get rid of Doge, blah, blah, blah. And people walked up and asked him, you really think Doge is bad? What they're doing? Getting rid of, finding corruption and fraud in the government? And he was like, no, man, I get paid to be here. This is just a job. So, yeah. I mean, should that be legal? Hiring people to protest? I don't know. Well, that's like live LARPing. That's like getting paid to LARP almost. But should it be legal in politics? I don't know. I guess people have the right to spend their money on whatever they want. It just seems like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it. But yeah, I'm not blaming any of these young people. You get to travel all around the country and get paid to do it, fed, probably put up in a hotel room or something like that. Same thing with the crisis actors. You can go apply to be a crisis actor, help out with the next false flag.
And see, if I didn't realize how closely tied they were to false flags, I think being a crisis actor would be cool. But the concept sounds great. But if you start to lose the context of the concept and you can start inserting it into news stories and calling it something other than what it is, well, now you're just part of the problem.
But yeah, they're trying to get like a grassroots look to this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, I mean, when you lose the general election, you know, yeah, of course, Democrat, Republican, about half and half, right? So half the country thinks that everybody's protesting and this and that. And it's like, well, still the majority of the country. And, I put zero whatever stock into any of their polling or anything like that. But even like MSNBC and CNN are saying that Trump's numbers are going up, his approval ratings. People are happy about what's going on. The border being cleared, the government being, shredded, which isn't a bad thing. It's way over bloated. But yeah, I don't get the logic. I think it's all Trump derangement syndrome. All these people who hate Elon Musk and this and that, I haven't heard one really good argument on why people don't want Trump to be a president. Now, for not wanting Trump to be their friend or, this or that, yeah, there's all kinds of, oh, he did this, he did that. Okay. As president, though, like policies and stuff like that on paper, laws and things that get done. Name me, they'll be like, name me something that he's done. Well, he's a misogynist and he's a rapist and he's this and he's that and he's this. Okay, but when it comes to being president, like what policies? And they don't have anything. I don't know. And the one things that they actually do have to bitch about, they never really bring up.
You have stolen my dreams, my childhood. How dare you?
How dare you? I don't get it. It's pretty amazing to see the whole country turn on a guy, pretty much because the news told them to. Like, all kinds of people used to love Trump. They used to love Elon. His show, The Apprentice, or what, I never saw one episode of that. But the guy was like a TV icon, And I know there was a lot of people that didn't like him because of his attitude and all that kind of stuff, but he was, and now it's wild. Propaganda does work. Not on everyone, but it works. Flags in South Carolina are flying at half staff today.
Why for?
The governor, Henry McMasters, placed the order, said, in honor of John J. Bubber Snow III. Snow had an extraordinary legacy and lifetime of service to the state of South Carolina, including as a member of South Carolina House of Representatives. Flags will be flown at half-staff from sunrise to sundown on Sunday, April 6th.
Shout out to John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, or whatever.
Yeah. So you fly a flag at half-staff when the country or a state is in mourning.
And we do that every day? Just after night? Once the night ends, we should all lower our flags to half-staff since we are now in mourning.
An American flag flying at half-staff generally indicates one of three things: the death of a government official, military member, or emergency first responder, a national tragedy, or Memorial Day and other national days of remembrance.
That sounded like 6 reasons, but whatever.
Now, do you know why one might fly a flag upside down? An American flag.
I do.
I do too. Anybody out there in chat know why? We'll leave that one until the break.
Which is in about 4 minutes.
Yeah. Why would somebody fly an American flag upside down? And not out of, disrespect or this or that, but it's an actual thing.
And for all you rock stars that listen after the fact, feel free to put your answer in the comments. You can, when you hit a timestamp on your comment, it'll display your comment to people watching it at that particular time. I thought that was interesting.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't show, if you don't open up the chat and it just shows top comments or whatever it is, one comment at a time under the video. If you're watching the video, any comments with the timestamps, that's what will display on that one comment as you watch the video. Any comments with the timestamp at that time. After that, it's going to be top comments or whatever, however they choose to do it. But I was watching YouTube the other day and saw a comment pop up with a timestamp and looked at the time on the video and, hey, that's the same time. It happened a few more times. Like I said, just display that comment at that time. That's pretty effing convenient.
Well, it didn't take that long. We got a lot of smart people in chat. They all knew.
Yeah, I didn't figure it'd take them long.
Yep. Means we need help. Come quick. Bring the cavalry. Regina says she's a rock star and she believes it's to go against the establishment. Well, that's why I did it. Well, I did it to piss off my government teacher in high school. It was not a sign of, it was pretty much raising the flag upside down in her class saying, distress, we need an actual teacher that knows something. She didn't like it. She tried to get me taken out of school for the day. I told her no, I wasn't taking it off. So we went down to the office and had a chat with the principal. Come to find out I was right. Oh, she was so mad walking back into the room with me following right behind her with my shirt still on. Yeah, I won that one.
Yeah, we rolling up on it. Big shout out to Liz. Liz must be busy this morning, out doing things.
Yeah, wondering. You got a song ready?
I do has one.
Nice.
Although I feel like I played this not too terribly long ago. I just looked up and saw it was close and grabbed one that was easy and handy.
I was in the mood for some violent femmes. They bring all their equipment on the bus, by the way. That's going to do it for the second half of the first half.
That is.
Thank y'all for hanging out.
You're right at the halfway point. We do appreciate you all being here. Shout out to Walter, too. Hope he's doing good, feeling well, getting much needed rest. As for the rest of you, we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for tuning into the Ironworks, and we'll be right back. Here's some Strumbellas for you.
Maybe we can wake the dogs tonight. Maybe we can see the morning light. Maybe everyone can go to hell. Maybe I don't need your calls for help again. I'm your friend. Oh, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. And I sold my friends and I sold my friends. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Crashing thunder running through my mind. An eerie feeling running down my spine. Day is slowly turning into night. My hands are shaky and I don't feel right again. My friend. Oh, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. And I sold my friends and I sold my friends. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Maybe all the lies they told us were all true. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop this night. Maybe all the dreams I had were never real. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel this. So I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. And I sold my friends and I sold my friends. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun. Oh, well, I'm just waiting on a wild sun.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. no, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Good morning. I'm here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Where everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. There was one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
And welcome back to the first half of the second half of the Ironworks. We are just rolling right along this morning. Super glad to see you all here.
So, apparently, U.S. Border Patrol officers are taking bribes to let people into the country without showing documents. I would like to say that this is the first case of this that they found, but apparently it's not. This time, 2 border inspectors in Southern California charged with taking thousands of dollars in bribes to allow people to enter the country through the nation's busiest port of entry without showing documents. I mean, you know, busiest port of entry, a lot of people would think, God, that's ballsy, that's crazy. Well, that's really where you would want to try to do stuff like that because there's so much going on there. And, you know, it's kind of easier to hide when there aren't all the eyes on you because everybody's looking at what they're doing and you just have to deal with, you know, maybe a couple people instead of everybody. So, yeah, I would say that'd be the smartest place to try to do something like that. Customs and Border Protection Officers Farlis, tell me if I'm saying that right, Farlis, Almonte, and Ricardo Rodriguez were assigned to, I've never heard that name, Farlis, were assigned to immigration inspection booths at the San Ysidro port of entry. They were charged after investigators found phone evidence showing they had exchanged messages with human traffickers in Mexico and discovered unexplained cash deposits into their bank accounts. You put the money in a fucking bank account? Are you that stupid? The surveillance video showed at least one instance in which a vehicle with a driver and a passenger stopped at a checkpoint, but only the driver was documented as having entered the country, prosecutor said. They said they waived dozens of vehicles carrying people without documents. Both men were paid thousands for each vehicle they waved through. Oh, man, could you imagine that? I'm sure you have to pay the cartels or whoever, these people smugglers, a pretty penny, right? If they're but if they're paying the Border Patrol thousands for each car, I know that money isn't coming out of the cartel's pocket because they're nice, you know. I'm sure that's money that they're just taking that was given to them, and this is like, you know, part of that. Thousands for each car. Could you imagine giving somebody thousands of dollars to sneak you in somewhere and then get across the border, then all of a sudden you're just sent right back? Monty has an attorney who can speak on his, or it wasn't known if he has an attorney. And of course, the National Border Patrol Council, the union representing Border Patrol, They didn't have any immediate response. Rodriguez has an attorney, Michael Hawkins, apparently, and he says the case is still in the infant stages and that Rodriguez has the presumption of innocence. So this all started after 3 migrant smugglers who were arrested last year told federal investigators they had been working with the U.S. border inspectors. So from Almonte, they see $70,000 in cash. They believe his romantic partner was trying to move to Tijuana. I mean, you're right there anyway. Wouldn't you just open something up down in Mexico and have a bank account down there or something? It's not like you live in Wyoming. You're right there on the border in Southern California. Why even bring the money into the United States? Why not get paid in pesos? I don't know. He's facing additional charges, Almonte is, for money laundering and obstruction of justice, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, now they're going on and saying that, anybody who turns a blind eye to smugglers bringing undocumented immigrants into the U.S. is betraying their oath and endangering our national security. So could that be considered treason?
I mean, sure does seem like it. There could be a argument to be made, I think.
Yeah, not saying that it is or that type of penalty should be carried out. That's a very extreme penalty, but it does kind of fit the criteria for a treasonous act. You're violating your oath and putting your nation's security at risk on purpose, knowingly. I don't know how much more you would need for treason than that. Now, well, they are part of the government. Can, a private citizen commit treason?
I think so.
Or do you have to be a government official?
I don't think you have to be a government official. I think anything that would go against the government would be considered treason, regardless of what your job is. But I could also be wrong, so.
Okay, yes, well, this is according to the AI overview, because that's first thing that popped. Okay, this isn't AI. This is, I don't even like going to Wikipedia. Okay. Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution defines treason as levying war against the United States or adhering and providing aid or comfort to its enemies. Although there have been relatively few treason cases in American history, the Supreme Court has clarified what it means to levy war and provide aid or comfort to enemies. So, okay, the framers of the U.S. Constitution intended to define treason narrowly after their experience with the English law of treason, which expanded the definition to cover many actions against the crown. They also wanted to make it challenging to establish that someone committed treason. By defining treason in the Constitution, they restricted Congress's power to change the definition of the crime and the proof needed to establish charges of treason. I didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
So Congress can't even change the definition of the crime of treason. Since the Constitution's ratification, Congress has only brought treason charges 30 times. Few cases have ever reached the Supreme Court, although there were several instances in early American history. The court first sustained a treason conviction in 1947. Okay, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act. Article 3, Section 3, Clause 2 states, the Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeit except during the life of the person attainted. Okay. They used to write so elegantly back then. So, since these drug cartels are considered terrorist organizations and enemies of the state, wouldn't aiding and abetting them be considered treason?
I think so. Again, I think you could make a pretty reasonable argument. And I think making an example of these two would be ideal.
Yeah. Good precedent to set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's serious, though. I mean, treason. There's only one penalty for treason, folks.
I think there's more than one penalty, but...
Well, yeah, you can get a firing squad, you can get lethal injection, you can get the electric chair, but it all ends the same for you. Wow. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean... I'm surprised nobody's brought that forth already. But these cases were last year and the year before they were considered terrorist organizations. Oh, man. Yeah, that's pretty scary when your border patrol officers are letting... I mean, that's got to be a shitty spot to be in, though. You know? You put yourself in their shoes. I mean, it very well could be the carrot or the stick from the cartels.
Uh-huh.
Like, you take this carrot and turn your head, or we're going to kill your whole family and burn them alive while you're watching, type of stuff.
I'm going to make you 2 offers. The first one is a cash payout. Say no to that and find out what the second offer is.
Yeah. That's all they really have to say is that right there. They don't even have to identify what the stick actually is. Just letting them know that there is a stick. But these are the types of things, you know, that people sign up to do. It's not like these people were forced to become Border Patrol officers and put their livelihood on the line like that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that job. Just saying. You watch any interesting First Amendment videos lately?
I'm sure I have. There's a lot of interesting ones. I Am Free is always pretty good. There's a couple auditors that I don't like that I watch a lot of. Audit Them is one of them. Seems like now that I'm saying it out loud, these are some guys that are close by. They right in Illinois, but they only audit Illinois, it seems like. But Tyrant Terminator audits. That's one I watch quite a bit of that I like as an auditor, just not as a content creator, and Audit Them, which I like as an auditor, just not as a content creator. See what else? James Freeman is always hard at it. He's out there with a clipboard.
Yeah, he's been so funny.
Yeah, his presumed authority videos as of late have been pretty funny. Snapping his gloves on in case he has to go hands-on. Investigating employees, marking down which ones are being uncooperative. Yes.
We'll mark you down as uncooperative. Okay. It's so good. He's so funny. Yeah, Bay Area Transparency had a really good one that just dropped yesterday. He had to go visit this place 3 times to get his FOIA. And by the 3rd time, they finally got it. Because he had dropped the video that day and gave it about 45 minutes. And then went in there. And he's talking to the security guard, and security guard's like, he's like, it's only been about 40 minutes since my video dropped, so I'll give it about 10, 15 more minutes, but you saw how they were talking to me just now. Well, next time they come out here, their whole attitude is going to change. You're going to see. And the security guard was kind of not believing it, Like, yeah, whatever, okay. And sure as shit, the next person that came out was all kissing his ass and apologetic and this and that and yada, 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 and had a real good conversation. It wasn't the same guy that came out and was giving all the just not accurate information. The way it's written in the laws, and I'm sure every state has their own FOIA laws, but out there in California, if you if you want to go file out the form for the Freedom of Information Act, all this public information that we have the rights to access, you can do it online. You can go in and fill out a piece of paper or whatever, fill out a form if they have one and hand it in, or you can do it verbally. And for some reason, most places think it's like some big disturbance for you to do it verbally.
That's ego.
Now, yeah.
I don't think they think it's a disturbance. I think they want to try to make everybody think it's a big disturbance because they just don't want to fucking do it. That's beneath them. Like, they're not going to scrub a toilet, and they're sure as hell not going to write down your request if you're perfectly capable of writing it down yourself or staying your happy ass at home and filing it on the internet. Why should I write it down?
Mm-hmm. It's like, because it's your job and we pay you to. Like, this is what you're here to do. Service the public. I'm the public.
I'm waiting for these First Amendment auditors to catch up to the public trust. Like, I think when you start identifying them as actual trustees and you being trustor and beneficiary, that when that shit goes before a judge, that hits completely different. Like, I'm the beneficiary, bitch. You do it because this is my shit and I pay you to take care of my shit. I'm here to collect. Just that's why I pay you to be here, so that when I come in, you do it. Because we as a society has decided that's what's best for us. That's the public trust. It's my shit, and I want it now. I am the trustor, my shit, and the beneficiary. I want it now. So you, trustee, shut the fuck up and do it. And I think once the First Amendment auditors start to bring that constitutional negative rights, protections from the Constitution, along with their rights as a beneficiary to the public trust, I think that they're going to be a lot more powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so sick of hearing these public employees say, I don't work for you. What do you, I don't work for you. I work for the county, or I work for the city. Yeah, and who do you think the county is, or the city is? It's the people that make it up. It's not the buildings. You're not getting paid by buildings. You're not getting paid by pieces of paper that have writing on them. Your money's coming from these people's taxes. That's where you get your paycheck.
That's why one civics class at 11 years old is all you need. And they'll give you the rest of your entire life to completely forget the things that you were taught and fluff up your ego. So that when you do get into that position, you're going to think it's your right to be there. Like trespassing. That's the other big one, is trespassing from a public space. And police not knowing the difference between public and private and think trespassing applies to anywhere you are. That I don't understand. It seems like that would be one of those differentiations that would be met immediately. Like one of those obvious things you need to know the difference between public and private, and the things you can do on which one. Because you can't do the same thing on both, necessarily.
I think there should be a civics class every year while you're in school. Teaching you not about your rights as a United States citizen, but teaching you your duties as a United States citizen.
Yeah, good luck with that.
It's your duty to hold these people accountable.
Nope, 70s did away with that. Whether you could call it the CIA or just poor government management in the Vietnam War. But I think once people decided that they just didn't have to be drafted, well, I'm just not going to be, so I'm going to go to college. I'm going to run off to Canada. I'm not going to participate in your bullshit war anymore. Which, strong argument to be made, but hard to argue with the draft. As a concept, I think. It's hard to argue against it. It's just that when the time comes and it's your turn to get called up, that sucks. And if you don't have that sense of duty, you run off to Canada.
Well, if you guys want to go see Mars' surface features seen from above in true color for the first time ever, apparently they have them now. It only took 20 years to put it all together.
Surface features from above?
Yeah, they
so like
apparently the year.
Didn't they send like a drone that took pictures?
Well, this is from a satellite they have going around Mars, allegedly.
Right. But what direction was the camera pointing on the drone? I'm real confused how this is going to be the first time we ever got full color surface pictures of Mars before. Whatever.
The vantage point rests about 1,550 miles, revealing an enhanced view of Mars without its polar caps, thanks to the relatively low altitude. Oh my goodness. That's an interesting history lesson. You go back and look at all the people who used to, because they couldn't take pictures back in the day, so astronomers drew what they saw. And there were canals on Mars, and it looked like highways and this and that, and they had all these, none of it was ever there.
You didn't see that, you liar.
You liar. Well, when you're the only person that gets to peek through that big giant telescope and look at it, I guess you can write down whatever you want,
Yep. When you get to gatekeep information, you can make sure that what information goes out or not. But yep, that does bring us right to it. So don't you guys go anywhere, because we do have one more segment of the Ironworks coming up. I need to go get ready for work, so this may be just a slightly extended break. But we love you guys, and we shall be right back right after this. You play it.
I'm someone else in the morning. So take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. Then walk around in a floating chalk outline. But so it goes, let it be. Gallows are balanced on my toes so I can breathe. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Such relief in the sip of serotonin. Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything. Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. Feeling goes and you draw a chalk outline.
And so it goes, let it be. In the gallows, I balance on my toes so I by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, erase ourselves. Such a perfect day, take it just in case, take it just in case. I'm scared of being okay, cause all things change, all things change. Such a perfect day, it's a beautiful shame, it's a beautiful shame. I'm scared of being okay, cause all things change. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here. You're listening to Iron Realm Media. I listen all the time, and it's the best truth show out there. Forget about the mainstream lying. Get your weekly dose of iron. Realm, that is. Stay woke, folks.
Hi, this is Alan. I like IRONWORX because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love IRONWORX with Josh, Walt and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that IRONWORX with Josh, Walt and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the IRONWORX.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the plane. To the show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the IRONWORX with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the IRONWORX and become an Iron Scout.
And welcome back. Fourth and final segment of the IRONWORX kicking off right now. That was Zack's Violent Femmes. I see you post there in chat. You think they're the first grunge band? Is that what I saw?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just the blues played in that type of style. I think they were ahead of their time. I really do, because they were so out of place in the 80s.
They were.
It seems like they should have been a 90s band. But amazing musicians.
Yeah, that was
doing
always...
it forever.
Does take you back. And we followed that up with Chalk Outlines. I saw Laura in chat get right away. And that was with Ren and Chinchilla.
He's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
He can write one hell of a song, that's for sure. So, did you ever get into the Sex Pistols?
I'm just going to assume you mean the band and say no.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. I was never really into the punk scene all that much. But I guess Johnny Rotten is now saying he will never return to play with the Sex Pistols because they are a woke group. Yeah. I guess who did they get to take his place. Frank Carter, an English musician known for his work with punk bands like The Gallows, Pure Love, and Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. And he has frontlined multiple UK shows for the Sex Pistols up until last month. Yeah, so Johnny Rotten pretty much says that he is the Sex Pistols and they're not. Kind of like Axl Rose saying he's Guns N' Roses and the band isn't.
I mean, I've heard of Johnny Rotten before. I don't know that I could name another member of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, but I was never a punk guy, you know?
Same. Not a Sex Pistols guy.
Yeah.
But I guess that's sort of the point, though, isn't it? You shouldn't have to, that's sort of the point. You shouldn't have to be a Sex Pistols guy to know the members of the Sex Pistols if Johnny Rotten himself is not Sex Pistols.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to be hard, man, to have a band together that long.
I thought they were called the Gender Pistols now.
They might be. That's probably why he left.
Brian in chat says they're now the they-them Pistols.
Why children may have taken part in creating prehistoric cave art. But the stick figures weren't a dead giveaway to you?
Well, it's finger painting. What the fuck else? Who else is going to be finger painting? So we never did get into it on the last segment. We were supposed to when we got back the first half of the second half. So you guys on Glowbusters went through and somebody actually sat and watched and listened to Jaron and I guess pulled out his arguments and then you all broke them down? Is that how that went?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you could call them arguments if you want. Kind of like calling Eric DeBay's 200 proofs.
Right, just sort of the same basic claims that people make or have been making since, well,
yeah, like there's these 50 lighthouses, so there's 50 proofs. Well, all of Jaron's proofs have to do with the southern rotation. In the sky. Nothing to do with the land at all. It all has to do with the southern sky. Those are his 6 globe proofs. Yeah, it's sad. But they did a real good job keeping it civil. You know, no name calling or anything like that. No ad hocs. No, I thought the gentleman handled it very well. Karen came on. Yeah. Kyle Adams stopped by for a little bit. But yeah, and that's it. I don't get it. I can't make it make sense in my head.
Yes, you can.
Well, yeah, I can, but I don't know. You know, I don't know what actually is going on. I can draw my own conclusions in my head. I don't know if they're correct or not, the truth. But yeah, it's weird, man. It's just weird. But it doesn't change anything, you know? Just because some people decide to change their mind for whatever reason, it doesn't change reality. And what I don't get is all the Well, I know Jaron took a lot of shit after they got back, you know? And he's very wears his emotions on his sleeves, and people were biting at him, so he was biting back and this and that. But I don't think that's all of it. I mean, Jaron was acting funny before they left. Well before they left. Months before they left. And I'm not really one to know all that much. I mean, I know I was on a show with him for years, but it wasn't a show like our show, you know, where we'll sit and talk for a half hour, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes after the show even, just hanging out and shooting the shit. Usually after Bob left, when Glowbusters ends, within 2 minutes, everybody's like, all right, later, see you, bye. You know, usually way quicker than that. Usually within 20 seconds, everybody just jump out. Yeah, it wasn't, you know, I wasn't real close with Jaron, ever. I don't know his number, never sent the guy a text. We talked about the show and upcoming things on Skype a few times and stuff like that. So I really don't, you know. I know Jaron a little better than a lot of people, but I don't know Jaron all that well. We never really hung out.
That just seems so crazy to me.
Doesn't it?
Like, to do multiple hours every week for years and never hang out afterwards just boggles my mind. But I guess it's different.
And it wasn't like I wasn't willing, you know. But as soon as the show ended, he's like, all right, good show, guys. See you next week. And that'd be it. Now, if Bob was there, it would last a little while longer. Jaron might drop out real quick. But, you know, me, him, Iru, there was other people, Rodrigo. There's been people, you know, different people throughout the years would all hang out for a little while and talk. Yeah. So I really don't know Jaron all that well, you know. I know his like YouTube personality pretty well. But that was it.
I never listened to a lot of his Jaronism stuff, but once he came back onto the ball, I totally canceled my OnlyFans.
Well, yeah, I mean, he used to make awesome videos. And then he started live streaming, and I might have watched a couple of them near the beginning, but geez, the last few years, I jump in, say hello to everybody in chat, say, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, you know, and then I jump out. It was pretty much all the same stuff. You know, stuff that he talked about 100 times. I had heard him already talk about these topics, most of them 100 times over. So it was nothing new to me. And I didn't like hanging out with all the trolls in his chat. That's the one thing I loved about Glowbusters so much, was it was like a troll-free zone. Yeah, I don't know. But these things happen. There's some famous cases throughout history, even, you know. Benedict Arnold. Remember that guy?
I'm vaguely familiar with the story, I was told. It's one of those things, I bet you there's a conspiracy on YouTube somewhere.
I'm sure.
Latest Eddie Bravo was pretty good. I dropped a link to it here in this chat yesterday, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, 5:30 in the morning, because I'm stupid. But that fella, Danny Goler is his name. But he's the one that discovered the Matrix with the red laser on DMT.
Yeah, I want to try this, dude.
Apparently, it's not that weird of a laser. It's not a super uncommon laser. He was just trying to get it during COVID and couldn't get it and had to basically build it himself. I think you can still buy
I wonder if you can get it to work without the DMT, though.
Mushrooms works. 5-MeO DMT works. He goes through on this. There's a few things that it requires the shift in consciousness. That much we know. But that's not necessarily DMT specific, because apparently psilocybin allows for it too. But I didn't hear anything about LSD being able to provide.
Yeah. See, what I want to not just see it, but I want to test this. I want to mark a spot, see it with my own eyes, write down the numbers or letters or whatever it's supposed to be that I see, then have somebody else go look through the same spot and mark down what they see and see if it's the same.
Well, I think it's not quite that easy, because it's not a static picture in that the symbols of the matrix code, right, they're sort of ever changing. So he goes through and there's some visual representations basically of what people see. They've done their best, and there's talk of like people doing like VR maybe, or a 3D rendering sort of what it is that people see. But it's not like the stories of the DMTLs, where people can sit around and exchange stories about the experiences they had and compare the differences. This is sort of universal. Everybody sees the same thing. Which got me thinking about those damn Vietnam night vision goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And what that has to do, because apparently the red laser has to be at a 650 nanometer wavelength, which was what they were not told directly, but the synchronicities all pointed to this particular wavelength when he and his fiance and stuff were trying to research this. It was all these synchronicities, like that's how they were being spoken to, was through these reoccurring numbers, reoccurring themes, reoccurring things. And the columnated light at 650 nanometers just kept popping up. And they just looked at each other like, lasers!
Yeah, I want to play.
Yeah, me too. I guess I need to check the specs on the build your own DIY laser and just make sure that everything transfers over, because you can get 650 nanometer laser pins, laser pointers pretty simply. Pretty easy, pretty cheap. I want multiple lasers. I want intersecting. Now you can start introducing maybe other colors along with the red. Introduce frequency generators. All sorts of things I'd like to try to play around with. Again, metal, wood, skin. What kind of things can you shine this on and get this effect?
I'm seeing them for like $23. A laser diode columnator for dang $310. There's another $54 for this one that looks pretty cool, scientific. There's the cross on the wall.
That's what it takes. It needs to be diffracted like that. It can't just be like a pointer. Apparently, a laser point doesn't do it. You need to diffract the laser light in the cross,
and that's what the cross is. What happens when you use a square, a rectilinear lens to look through. A circular aperture, you only get the one line across your horizon. But when you use a rectilinear lens, you get that other line on your vertical axis as well. Very cool. $43. Oh, we're going to do this. Yeah.
I might need to have you send me some cuttings. I can get a little garden growing back here in my backyard. So I can harvest my own DMT.
Yeah, there's all kinds of roots. Like, there's a bunch of mimosa trees that grow right on the edge down there, right by the dam. And I just cut them back every year so we can see down there because they block the view. But the roots are enormous. This one I saw, not yesterday, the day before, Cami and I were sitting down on the rocks. And it's at least 4 inches in diameter, the root to this mimosa tree. Damn. Just huge. I'm just scared to pull some of this stuff out because it's like the side of a wall that they're growing out of. I don't want stuff to come tumbling down on me. I'll have to be careful about it. But no, this is definitely something I'd like to try. I ain't scared. I would like to see, we had a bunch of ground covering mimosa last year in the fall. Like huge patches throughout the whole yard in the back. But I haven't seen any yet this year. I don't know, things sprout at all different times. Some plants, or like Ian had the garlic already growing. There's snow on the ground up there. And the garlic is already popping through and growing. So plants do things at different times. Flowers are all different. The daffodils are always first, and then you have your tulips, and then the lilies will start coming in. It's never the lilies that go first, ever. They all have their own clocks that they work in. So maybe this mimosa ground cover is still there. It's just kind of dormant right now, I'm hoping. Because it was a really big. It didn't bloom till fall. But yeah, DMT was interesting. It was it's very mind altering. I'll say that. Like, even the homemade stuff, somebody who's never made it before, first time making it. And it was pretty awesome, pretty intense. Well, BPS, go shut that cock up. Just yelling away, he says. Birds out here, man, that making some noises each morning. They are loud. I don't know where they are. I still haven't ever seen one of these birds. I just hear them every morning. I can hear it like it's just a real high pitched one chirp, like real loud. It's wild. That's gonna about do it, folks. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you over at Coffee Talk, Karen B's channel.
What do you feed a 500-pound canary?
What's that?
Anything it wants. What do you call a 500-pound canary?
What's that?
Sir.
Sir.
What does a 500-pound canary say? Chirp.
Chirp. Chirp.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you back here on Wednesday. Hopefully, joined by Walter Ricious himself.
Yeah, miss you, man.
We do miss you. Hope things are going wonderfully with you and Michelle both. Matter of fact, I'm just going to extend that out to everybody. Hope everything is going well with y'all. We will see you back here on Wednesday. Until then, be good, be well, do good, do it well. We love you, and goodbye.